There's lots of things that got layers, aren't there? And layers are a fact of life, really, especially when you start to unpick your data and what's going through it. And there's lots of layers that you're going to need to use. But when it comes to layering your reports, what should that look like? All right, everyone, welcome along. Something for the weekend. So, we've got layers as a concept now in terms of Power BI. And if we cut on over into the Power BI service and have a look at that report, what does it look like with layers and how do we best interact with them? So here we are in our COVID report, yeah, and we've got this great way of looking at our data. We can see, is it above, is it below, what's happening with it. We've got some dynamic titling in terms of actually picking out today's date. So what we're looking at now, we've got all sorts built in directly to the report. So if I hover over a location down here on the map, you see it brings something up. And if I say, wait, we're in Newcastle today, like, well, always, right, let's zoom into that and see exactly what's going on. I can right click on it and I can choose to drill through and look at the detail. So here we are in Newcastle and we can see the cases across our different categories. And this is using the small multiples chart here. So what that means is that this case rates by 100 per 100,000 of the population is consistently charted so that all the axes are the same. So if I'm looking here, at this point, we can be pretty sure that that's that kids were the main cases, yeah, in October, right? Children had the highest volume there, followed by young adults. If we're going over and seeing recently, we see it's young adults that have got the highest case volumes. Right? Fortunately, it's coming back down. And then it's overlaid with the vaccination percentages. So we're really starting to see that once the second dose starts kicking in, we're starting to get there, but we're still very low first dose vaccination rates, 56%. Terrible. Okay. And then we can see on the left-hand side, I've got this big horrible looking chart where we've actually got the vaccination rate by age group, by age. And it's clear that the 18 to 24s have got a higher vaccination rate now, and it's picking up ahead of even the 30 to 34s now. So something's happening with that group. And I said last week, I think it's to do with that, are they doing it for education or something like that? Anecdotally, I've heard stories that students are being dragged by their parents to get their vaccinations. I don't know. But certainly the evidence would seem to support that, but I'd struggle to prove it from the data. And you'll find that happens a lot in the world of data analytics, that there's going to be bits that you can't really prove it, and you can have a good supposition about it, and you can think through, how would we prove it? So the next question said, what we said we would do is show you really how it's all built. So how do we build stuff like this? Okay, tooltips and drill downs or drill through pages are a challenge for people a lot of the time. So we thought, let's go in, have a look at exactly what we've done and see if it's something that you can do for yourself. So here we are, back in Power BI Desktop, and this is the report page. You'll see there's been some tweaks to it because I'm trying to get it ready to publish. And of course, this is going to be the final version that we're going to publish, and it's going to be the one that I want to really showcase what it is we can do and how we can really use data to benefit our lives as a whole, as opposed to it just being something that, well, I do it in work, don't I? This is a lifestyle thing, isn't it? First thing you'll notice, I've set this up as a weekly, so a 7-day average of all cases. Okay, gone through a few examples of this, trying to work out the right way, and I think the all cases it works best. I was looking at, should we do something with the cases by age, and it doesn't look right. It's plain and simple how it goes. So what I've got to do that is on the left hand side here. If we have a look, it's not a complicated measure that's been written, okay? But one of the things that you need to start thinking through is in terms of variable usage. And in this case, variables just made me life dead easy, dead simple. Okay? And part of DAX, one of the complex pieces of DAX that people need to be aware of and understand, is context. So a DAX measure will do different things depending on the context that it's presented with. Didn't understand, right? So in the case of this measure here, the way I've written it, okay, we're looking at last, which is going to be the latest date that we've got, and that's going to be the maximum date that's in our calendar table, the maximum date, okay? But remember, we're putting this on a daily chart, okay? This is designed to be used with a daily chart. A 7-day average only makes sense to use in a daily chart. You wouldn't put it on a monthly chart. So a daily chart. So it's going to have a day as its context, isn't it? Because DAX measures are calculated for each point along that chart. So it's going to calculate it for each of these points down here, right? Because it's doing that, that means that max calendar date is effectively it's the date that we're at that time, okay? It's just that one date. So if we're at this point here, it's going to be the 10th of September, 2020, okay? So that's just what it's going to come up with. That's the last date. So we think, well, 7-day rolling average, so let's go back 7 days. So all we're doing is taking, well, that date and minus 7 from it. And dates are easy enough, you can just minus 7. You don't need to do like a date add function like that. And then all we're doing is we're saying, well, calculate the average of it. So calculate the average of new cases by publication date. So that's the daily new cases when the dates are between, from the calendar column, the first date and the last date. Okay. Not rocket science, is it? I've told you many times, honestly, DAX is dead easy. It looks a lot scarier than it really is. So don't be afraid. The other thing I've done is I've set this up so that when I click on something, it also makes it available there as a note. Do you want to view this, right? And we could change this, we could tweak this and do more with the button and make it do different things. But I can click on that and it'll take me straight to Newcastle. And then obviously I click on the back button to go back. And that way I'm not having to tell people you need to right click to do this, you need to do that, you need that, it's much simpler. And also if you're on a tablet device or something like that, like your Surfaces or, touchscreen laptops, which I have to say, I love me touchscreen laptops, right? It's just it's much easier to just touch there and then touch there and there's you in, okay? So that works for us really well. The next thing is obviously we've got this here, which I haven't changed it. I think it is what it is. It's good enough. It does an excellent job of highlighting the problems that we face. Okay, so we've got that. Now, one of the things I said I would do is talk about different types of drill through. So what we've done here is if we right click, you'll see under me drill through, I now got 3 different drill throughs. So we've got the detail, which is the default one, but let's look at this drill through test 2 as the first one, okay? And I've just tried this. Does this work? Right? I mean, one thing for me, I love this. Okay, I think this just tells such a great story. I would never try and change it. So, but looking at this side, we can do different things. So we can present the age range differently, and I think that works very well. We can present a drill, like a map, so we can see, well, where is Newcastle upon Tyne, in case you might not know, who doesn't know where Newcastle is, though? With that in mind, okay, you can keep going. So what I've also done, if we right click again, and drill through, and this time let's pick test 2, is you've got some options. Now this one I can't use with our free report. So some of these they're not compatible with free, and smart narratives is one, okay? But this gives something you could do if it was your corporate report, be put in a smart narrative to actually start to explain using text what your measures are telling you, what the report is telling you. Now that adds a really important dimension to some people's understanding of data, because not everyone likes to see pretty pictures. I know, it's amazing. Like, some people like to see the text and explain it, give me some narrative. Okay, and this smart narrative does an awful good job of doing it. It's brilliant. Okay, you can really pull it in and understand more, and you can always add more to it as well if you want to go in, type something, add some values. You do, it's like a Q&A interface. Okay. It's not my forte that much, although I've started to use it a lot more. Right, so I'll not fiddle and make myself look stupid. But you can see, you can start to get in, and depending on where you choose will depend on the value that you get out of it. So if we go back here, we can pick somewhere else. I think let's pick 73 as an example. So we can see Harlow, and it updates that text there. Okay. Kings Lynn in West Norfolk. You can see there we've got an issue. So these are things that you would have to look through as to how best to manage, fitting everything in, making sure that everything worked. So, this is where UAT plays its part. So for this, it's probably be sensible. We would just look to drop down that shape a little bit, drop everything down, and then expand this. Okay. All we need when we're coming up to say, right, I'm going to do a new tooltip, not a new tooltip, sorry, well, a new tooltip. We'll start with tooltip, or a new drill through page. Is let's start with a new page. Okay. And all we need to do really is drag something onto this drill through. So for us, what we've used is on the location, we've got area code. So I've just put that in, and you see it automatically when you make it a drill through, it puts a little arrow on the top right. Then you can resize that, you can do what you like, make it work for you. Okay. From your drill through perspective, you can decide to keep all filters or to remove them and just have whatever the category is that you set. Okay. Both work. Okay. Depends on what you're doing with what you want to do, but you might find you need to have one option or the other depending on your report content. So leave it on by all means, but if you start getting strange results, you may want to revisit and turn it off, because the filter context that's passed by the time the map or whatever you use to initiate the drill through is selected will all be passed if you've got it to. There's not an option to say, well, I'll just have these bits. It's kind of all or just whatever you put in here. Okay. So we've got that there. So already what you'll see if I come back to the main is if I right click here on a location. Goodness me, if I right click on a location, choose drill through, you'll see page 2 is there already. So I can pick page 2 and it'll work. Okay. You just got to take my word for it, but you can see it's filtered a drill through there to it. We could solve the problem. Let's bring the area name in. Make that a card. Okay, East Lindsey. And that's what we picked, wasn't it? Okay, we can check, we can prove. Let's go back. Okay, Halborough. Drill through page 2. Okay, Harborough. So that works. That's in, it's working. Okay, you've seen from the different example pages that I've built that you can do different things. You can lay it out differently. You can make it what you need it to be. Right. The advice as well, I would say, is always right click and make sure you've hidden these pages. You don't want people to accidentally get into them because they won't be in the right context, will they? And then lastly, we've got a tooltip page. Okay. Now, tooltips are a little bit more tricky. What you need to do is have a new page. When a new page is selected, Okay, click the paint roller, go to your page information, and you need to tick tooltip on. Right? When you do that, you see this now says tooltip field. And again, just bring up the area code for it there. I've now got a tooltip field. Okay? The problem is this is a full page tooltip, so that's silly. Okay, what you've got two options of doing is you can either go under the page size and pick tooltip, which is what I've done for the main one, okay, which is 320 by 240 pixels, or you can customize it. So often for me, I'll go with tooltip, and then if the little tooltip build is too small, I'll compress the page so it fits more neatly. Okay? There's other options available to you. If you want to do just a really small one, just set out to do a really small one. But honestly, you'll find it difficult to manage them, and I'll show you why. There we go, we've got that. Tooltip selected, it's now there, okay? So let's put in our area name, okay? And we'll just do that, right? So area name like that, we can see the map, it's kind of everywhere. Okay, if I go back to our main page, here, you'll see it's now showing that. So it's going to show us where these places are, and hopefully most of them will be in the UK. Okay, you might say, but what happened to the original tooltip that you built? Okay, this is something it does because it's on auto for the tooltip selection, and you'll see we come back, select our visual, go over to our paint roller. Here we go. So we've got tooltip on the paint roller right down here. You can see it's a report page and it's automatic, but we could choose page 1, okay? And of course, like all of these, you need to think through your page names. So page 1, page 2, probably pretty bad. I'm going to hide this one. What we'll do is we'll call this map TT. So map tooltip. Okay. So what have you reckoned then? Okay, we've done a bit of a whistle-stop tour of setting up that layered report style within Power BI. Once you can get people to see report content with meaningful, insightful tooltips and with meaningful, insightful drill down and drill through, your reports just take on a different life. It's so much easier for your audience to interact with the data when it's like that, that it changes how they view things. So it is possible to do things with additional layers, like actually put on bookmarks to overlay for your help files, so it's just help there, which build the apps with help content to include with it, embedded with it. All of this can be done. The question is only, what do your audience want and how can they cope with all of it? Because how can they cope is a big thing. So I've seen a lot where we put things in and then just click, 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 click. People are clickers. They go click, 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 click. So hiding things and being aware that they're going to click, 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 and make sure that those click, click, clicks don't take them somewhere that breaks the report or doesn't look right is part of the job, I'm afraid, my friend. So I hope you've seen a lot. I hope you're like, oh, wow, that was really insightful. I'm really happy I stayed around to watch these. Okay? Hope I'm back to being done with COVID again. Okay? The case rates, honestly, I'm looking at them, it's scary stuff, what we're seeing. Right? The vaccination rates, still scary. Looking at them consistently, what I'm seeing is that we're now getting the second doses coming through, but the younger age group is 10-20% below the rest of the other age groups, the other cohorts. Right? That's not good enough. You know, this is still a scary disease to have. So, you know, I hope you can see some wisdom in that, and you can look at the report content and be like, you know, looking at that, it's really clear. I need to kind of get my vaccine. If not, I've tried, man. I've tried. If one person gets the vaccine because of what I'm doing, it's worth it. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. What I will say though is stay safe, take care, and have a great weekend. Ta-ra.